Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Leadership Icons, a platform dedicated to celebrating and sharing the stories of extraordinary leaders who are shaping the future of Pakistan. This series is brought to you by FranklinCovey Pakistan. At FranklinCovey, our mission is to enable greatness. We believe in the transformative power of visionary leadership and its profound impact on individuals, organizations, and communities. Today's episode is a unique one, a special one, as we sit down with two inspiring leaders from Meezan Bank, a legacy builder who has redefined Islamic banking in Pakistan and a visionary leader who is ready to lead it into a new era. First, we have Mr. Irfan Siddiqui, the founding president and CEO of Meezan Bank. Since 1997, Mr. Siddiqui has been at the helm in transforming Meezan Bank into Pakistan's premier and largest Islamic bank. Under his leadership, the bank has grown over 1,000 branches across 300 cities, setting benchmarks for excellence in Islamic finance. His contributions have not only driven the bank's success, but also shaped policies of Islamic banking at the national level. Joining him is Mr. Syed Amir Ali, the Deputy CEO and incoming leader of Meezan Bank. With over 2 decades of experience in Islamic banking, Mr. Ali has led transformative projects across corporate, treasury, and investment banking. His deep understanding of finance, law, and strategic management uniquely positions him to lead the bank into an era of sustained growth and innovation. Under the leadership, Meezan Bank has received prestigious recognitions, including being named the best bank in Pakistan by the Pakistan Banking Awards and the best Islamic bank in Pakistan by numerous local and international institutions. In this conversation, Mr. Siddiqui and Mr. Ali will share insights on leadership transitions, building legacies, and charting the course for a future-ready bank. Mr. Irfan Siddiqui and Mr. Syed Amir Ali, welcome to Leadership Icons. Welcome, Ji, to Leadership Icons. Thank you so much for being here, Irfan Saab and Amir. I'm so happy to be here. Irfan Saab, आपके साथ तो हमारी बहुत गुफ्तगू चलती रहती है, and we've been hearing and learning so much about what great things you've been doing, especially in the Islamic banking sector. If we look back at your journey with Meezan Bank, what was your vision when you started this journey? And how does it feel now when you look back at what Meezan Bank has become, the premier Islamic banking bank in Pakistan?
Right, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Actually, the start of the journey was a faith-based journey. I was working in the conventional banking industry until I was pointed out by my wife कि भाई आप जो काम कर रहे हैं वो it's not according to what Islam teaches us. She quoted this ayat from Surah Baqarah that if you are involved in riba, then it's like having war with Allah and His Prophet. So obviously that was a big blow to me as well, and I wasn't a person who was accepting this previously. I would say, when they talk about usury and riba, and that is not the same thing as what the modern day interest is. Mm-hmm. So myself, I would say that that is something different and this is something different. But in long story short, I met Hazrat Taqi Usmani Sahib, who happened now to be our chairman of our Sharia board. And he convinced me that what Quran is talking about is the present modern interest. So at that point in time, I felt there was that either I leave banking or do something else. So with that thought process, we had this attempt of starting an Islamic investment bank, which was named as Al Meezan Investment Bank. Mm-hmm. It was formed in 1997, but the work started in 1995. So it's been a very long journey. So initially we started this bank, mashallah, 3 years, it was a reasonably profitable bank, but the scope was very limited of an investment bank. And from the very first year of our operations, when we were a total of 9 colleagues in the investment bank, we crafted our vision statement to read is Meezan's vision statement was to establish Islamic banking as banking of first choice.
Banking of first choice.
Banking of first choice.
Fantastic.
It wasn't Meezan Bank as banking of first choice, it was Islamic banking as banking of first choice. मेरा खुद का temperament ये है कि I try to be modest, so we don't over emphasize on what we are doing. But looking back, that vision statement was something which was not possible at all with an investment bank platform, because the investment bank mein, you can't issue a checkbook, you can't open an LC, you can't issue cards, debit cards, so it was only a very limited scope operations.
I understand.
But the vision statement was made that way. I think that was a divine thinking as well, because I couldn't have dreamt with that, but we made it. So there wasn't a consultant or anything, we developed it among
And at a time when Pakistan was not very aware of what Islamic banking is.
जी बिल्कुल.
Awareness जब now
वो भी नहीं होती.
you were establishing the first footprints of
Exactly.
Islamic banking.
So then we continued for 4 years as an investment bank. Like I said, as an investment bank we were doing good, and then we got a opportunity on a silver platter that Society Generale, the French bank, wanted to exit Pakistan, and somehow they approached me. Why, again, God only knows. Okay, we want to sell our bank, would you be interested? And again, very, very long story short, we ended up going for it. And the State Bank gave us the permission, the government agreed on that. And on acquisition of SocGen, they only had 4 branches, so it was an easy acquisition, but we were even smaller. Then we converted SocGen into Pakistan operation into Sharia compliant, and that gave us the license to do commercial banking.
Great.
And that was in 2002. So 2002 actually was our first year for what we stand today as Meezan Bank Limited, which is a commercial bank operating only under the principles of Sharia. So the journey really started with a very small investment bank taking over a very tiny little conventional bank. The two were merged and we became a commercial bank.
So when you say faith, it's actually the belief, even
the belief,
the perseverance,
exactly.
the belief. Even if you, I mean, small is just a relative word.
Exactly.
But if it can create
वो
the
सही
right
कह रही हैं,
force.
but you have to have that faith that whatever you're doing is for the right reason. So
And I'm sure अब आप agree करते हैं इरफान साहब के behind every great man there is a wise woman.
I had to believe that right from the day we met.
Right from the start you've mentioned. So
you
great.
can't go wrong on that side. Otherwise you go wrong every day.
Every day. तो मुझे थोड़े से अपने एहसासात अगर मैं उसको आपके पूरे इन feelings को अगर एक कूजे में हमने बंद करना है तो what would be a couple of words that would describe your feelings today?
Yeah, alhamdulillah, it's a feeling of gratitude and shukr, honestly. I think that's the DNA of Meezan.
Yeah.
Some of it has come from me. But every time we have anything wonderful like getting this award or whatever,
Yes.
We really feel that it's something beyond us. We couldn't have achieved this just by working hard. And it was, I think, because the intentions are right, then you get that divine help. I think, in my view, and especially with Amir now joining here, the day we start feeling that this is, we've done it, I think that day will go down.
I think it's not so much of an award, it's more of a reward.
Reward, yeah.
आपने जितनी मेहनत की है.
हाँ.
So I appreciate your sentiments. And Amir, आपका जितना experience रहा है, you've led transformational projects and you've held, at such a young age, you've been holding leadership positions in the Islamic banking over 2 decades? Correct?
Almost now.
Almost. And tell me something, how have these experiences prepared you to take up the CEO role at Meezan Bank?
So thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Firstly, I think there are always 2 aspects for you to take any leadership position and then perform. One is your professional competence or professional excellence. Other one is your personality. So it's a combination of 2. Sometimes a person may have one and may not have other. So it will not be I would say you won't be doing justice with your position all the time. So I think I'm lucky enough to be trained, coached, guided on both these sides. So I started my banking career in this organization way back in 2006. Before that, I never worked for a bank, and the sole reason for joining the banking industry was Islamic banking and nothing else. Because in my previous role, when I used to head treasury of a large petroleum company, so I realized that when I do financing transactions, so there is an element of interest which that company is paying to banks. Though it was not me, but I was the person executing it. And later on, I found a hadith which says that even the person who is writing it or witnessing it, it's actually part of the actual sin of dealing in interest. So that motivated me to step into Meezan Bank, followed by one training session which was arranged by Meezan Bank. Meezan Bank then was very small bank with roughly 29 branches, under 20 billion rupees in deposits. So that motivated me to join in, and I think the first step was right because it was a purpose-driven, faith-driven, belief-driven decision.
Intent. The intent was very clear.
Yeah. So it was a decision not in pursuit of a professional growth only. It was a decision taken in pursuit of a personal satisfaction and doing something for the community, for the nation and the whole Islamic world in my humble capacity. So I think, and that helped me to start right from day one. And the second thing which happened, because I worked with Irfan Siddiqui from that very young age, which was like 27, 28 years of age. So I was constantly being guided in terms of how to stay humble, how to remain grounded, and how to means believe in Allah that whatever success is coming is with the help of Allah. So you have to be somebody who is always thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, thanking people around you, and not trying to take away or steal away rather the credit all the time, which sometimes professionals happen to do. So that was the personal development, everyday training and guiding. And side by side, there was one thing which helped me, because I started in a bank which was small and there were very few people. So it enabled me to work in all different segments of business and controls.
Fantastic.
So I started in investment banking, but while being in investment banking head, I did so many different things. Like even if there is a property which has to be acquired for the bank, though it may not be an investment banking deal, but because of my financial acumen, Irfan Siddiqui and Ariful Islam always used to engage me. So I got trained on that side. Construction, I got trained on that side. Investment banking, I was heading the investment banking shop. So that was one thing which I already knew, doing large size transactions, M&As, project financing. And then at one point in time, I took up an assignment to document all the business processes of the bank, means all the control and operations need to be documented. So I did that. So I think the training was very well rounded. The acquisition of HSBC, that I was the guy who was leading the deal team, of course, patroned and anchored by Arif Saab, Irfan Saab, but I was the one who was leading it. So that was quite an experience. So that experience of looking around on every single segment of the bank, be it consumer banking, be it treasury, corporate banking, credit, investment banking, I was heading. So enabled me to understand all different aspects of banking.
Fantastic.
And then I think all that training eventually probably also helped me to work for another Islamic bank which was going through a difficult phase at that point in time, which was short on capital, which was not making profit, which was not growing deposits. So I spent 5 years there with all this training, both as a human being and as a professional. So that helped that bank to be transformed. So from very difficult situation, it became a pretty decent performing bank. So in terms of market cap, it got doubled or tripled during 4-5 years. Profitability grew up by 400-500% in that bank. So I think what happened during those 4-5 years is that whatever I learned in Meezan Bank, I tried to implement it. And one more proof, which I would say it's an empirical evidence, that whatever Meezan Bank is doing, like building a right culture, following a purpose in life, as each individual and as an organization, striving for excellence, trying to do things right, taking the team together. I think if when I implemented the same things which Meezan Bank has implemented earlier, so it worked again. So I would clearly say there is enough empirical evidence that this is a recipe for success. If you do these things right, then not just Meezan Bank will do well, another organization will do well.
They're all based
also.
on principles.
Yeah,
and
all
principles
based on
being
principles.
universal laws.
Yes.
जो हमने नहीं बनाए हुए,
True.
जो these are the universal laws and they're timeless.
Right.
So if you actually implement them,
Right.
you see the fruits. But I'm sure you must have seen some challenges as well. कोई at certain times when you were growing this bank to the premier Islamic banking industry को भी you've pretty much established it. What were some of the challenges you faced? You've already mentioned that you were starting at a small scale. उस वक्त इतना Islamic banking का पता नहीं था. But what were some of the challenges that you faced?
I think offhand what I remember, एक तो perception का बहुत challenge था that is it Islamic, is it truly Islamic?
Or they're just selling Islam?
Is it just you selling Islam? वो कहते हैं ना वो कान इधर से पकड़ना है उधर से पकड़ना है, it's the same thing. So that would be a major conversation wherever you go, especially coming from a banking background. All my colleagues, friends, they were all working with different banks, so they would tell me कि भाई आप जो काम कर रहे हैं वो तो सब 2 number है, fraud है, why you doing it like this, and there's no future for Islamic banking. Whatever your shareholders have invested will all go down the tube.
Right.
So you would listen to all of those things and live with that. So whether you go on a shadi party or a funeral, people would say that when they, short of saying that this is a big fraud you're doing. Short of saying that, I mean, they wouldn't go that far.
The fear of the unknown.
Fear of the unknown.
Yeah, that's what happens with people.
So एक तो ये social side था. दूसरा obviously for any bank to operate, you need liquidity instruments, which is in the conventional terms, it's called the treasury bills or the PIBs, the Pakistan Investment Bond, where banks park their surplus liquidity. Islamic equivalent उसमें कुछ भी नहीं था. So prior to Meezan Bank, there were Islamic banks operating, but not as 100% or licensed Islamic bank. Like they would do what they could do Islamic, and what they couldn't do, the regulator had no problem for them to deviate from the regulator.
Right.
So their owners had agreed that fine, if those some instruments are not available as a matter of necessity, they can go to conventional instruments.
Right.
We decided from day one that we will not. So our major problem came that there was no equivalent of a T-bill or a PIB. So we really went after the Ministry of Finance, we persuaded them, State Bank of Pakistan to issue sukuks. Sukuk is the equivalent of a T-bill in a Sharia compliant. So it's a sovereign sukuk issued by the government of Pakistan. So you can park your excess liquidity there. So that was a major hurdle, which wasn't there. I think no fault of government of Pakistan, it wasn't just there. So Alhamdulillah, with that behind us, then we were able to grow faster. Because otherwise, at the end of the day, all the surplus liquidity you have no use for that.
And you need a level playing field as well, with competition otherwise.
So, level playing field is still
unleveled.
Still
gap
BBS mein, but we are getting closer. So that instrument non-availability was a major challenge, and then obviously the customers wanting to understand that how is it different. People who are Sharia mindset, people they would want to know कि भाई अगर हम इतना effort करके आपके पास आ रहे हैं, तो how do we satisfy ourselves that it's not a change of label, it's a real Islamic banking. So for that they would want to measure you as well, individuals.
Right.
That are you
would
walking
be the
walking,
talking.
Yeah. What are you doing?
Representatives.
So I think one thing which Meezan really, and we did not venture into these kind of things because of business side, but because of ethics side. So our environment is also very, as far as possible,
it's
Islamic.
Reflective.
Yeah, it's reflective. So obviously when the customers come and bank with you, they try to assess you as well. मैं अक्सर कहता हूँ कि अगर आप चलती गाड़ी में से एक जूस का डब्बा बाहर फेंक दें खाली, So people would say कि यार ये Islamic banking तो करते हैं लेकिन look at them, they're putting trash on the road, right? I mean, you could be chief executive of NASA and doing that, maybe nobody would say that, right? But so the Islamic banking side or anything to do with Islam, very easily people would come and benchmark you with that.
Of course.
So we need to be more careful in what we do. So as a result, it was a common thing in our Meezan Bank that, you know, our work is 24/7.
Of course.
What we do at home, what we do with our kids, what we
You're
do in our
evaluating
park,
yourselves.
And
and
people are watching it.
They're judging.
Because you're doing something different, so you know it's very
Call
easy
of
for
fame
them
में
to.
फर्क नहीं होना चाहिए.
फर्क नहीं होना
बिल्कुल,
चाहिए.
आप बिल्कुल सही कह
तो
रहे
वो हमें ज़्यादा ज़रूरी होता है. एक normal organization के लिए ज़रूरी नहीं होता है. I'm not just saying about conventional banks only. Any organization.
Any organization.
तो वहाँ पर आपको उस litmus test में नहीं डाला जाता.
नहीं डाला जाता.
Which is wrong. I mean, it should not be that way, but
It should happen with any. I mean,
with
especially in
anybody, yeah.
services. Services may it's the
Exactly.
people, you know, that really make a
So
difference.
whether it takes into account the dress code or whatever, the ethics, you know, how we deal with our customers, keeping promises. So everything we need to be higher in standard. And obviously those things automatically impacted a positive side of our business as well.
Great.
Because we were better with our customers, whether in service quality or, you know, our approach, how we handle them, all based on Sharia कि भाई आप अपना कोई वादा खिलाफी नहीं करेंगे, you don't break your promises. If you call them on Monday to collect a document,
It has
it
to
should
be
be
ready.
available on Monday, not Tuesday. तो ये सब छोटी-छोटी चीजें हैं ना, they added up to create a reputation of an Islamic organization. Banking, you know, I always tell our colleagues every single time, you know, we have a session, that Islamic banking is nothing but a practice of Islam and practice of banking blended together. So it's like making a strawberry milkshake. You put strawberries and milk and blend it, then you can't separate the two.
Yeah.
So in Islamic banking, you know, it's your personality, your following of the religion, and the banking practices, which are obviously needed because you don't want to give money and not get it back in terms of lending. तो आपके सारी practices उसमें डालनी है. And then you put the blender on, and Islamic banking, then your personality
one and the same.
is one and the same.
Absolutely.
Right? So it's no new banking. The banking principles are the same. जो चीज़ें इस्लाम prohibit करती है, आप उसको eliminate करते हैं. And once they're eliminated, then that is what the product is.
But to existing paradigms or mindsets there, to break through that, I'm sure that must have been very, very challenging. And like you said, that it was not just the what you were giving in terms of products or return, it was you as walking, talking representatives of what you have, what you believe
What
in.
you're offering, exactly.
Absolutely, fantastic. So, Amir, tell me a little bit, the Islamic banking is evolving globally. I just want to know your take on how you're preparing to lead and what innovative or growth strategies have you prioritized for Meezan Bank?
So I think this is a good question, but also a difficult question to answer, frankly, because the world is changing so fast.
It is.
But one thing which I have learned recently is that any organization like Meezan Bank, which is a very successful organization, so the organization has to be an ambidextrous organization, which means that it has to be doing two things simultaneously. One is what Meezan Bank is already doing, which is the retail and commercial banking in which it is leading. So we have to maintain our leadership position in the commercial and the retail banking space in the way we are doing today.
Right.
Till the time actually the entire external environment changes and this type of banking is no more needed. Till the time it is needed, we have to lead.
Okay.
Side by side, we have to do the innovative type of banking. So we have to disrupt the world.
Of course.
Because enough cash flows and profits are being generated from our leadership position in the regular retail commercial banking. So now we have to use those profits and cash flows and we have to invest into disruptive technologies so that we remain with the changing world. And when there is an opportunity, we clicks, we are leading that piece also. So you have to continue exploiting or developing or reaping benefits out of your leadership position and simultaneously you have to investing into disruptive technologies. Now
Absolutely.
what is disruptive? for the entire world in this day and age is technology. So lot
digital.
of digital.
The key word, digital.
Yeah, digital. So we have to be an organization which has the capability to think digital all the time and has to develop digital capability and roll out products which are meeting the needs of the customer using the digital technology. So it is not enough to have a digital product. It should be satisfying need of a customer in that particular time and space. So time and space will continue to change. So you have to continue to evolve as a digital organization meeting the needs of the customer. So there are few things which we are doing very well, but we have to do even better, which is meeting the needs of our customers for banking transactions through a mobile banking app. So right now the mobile banking app which Meezan Bank has is very, very good. The rating on the Apple Store and the Google Android Play Store, they are all like number one right
so
now
you're,
in
you're
Pakistan.
preparing yourself for the future,
So
like
now
being future ready.
the next stage is that you have more and more functionalities which are needed by the customers into it, simultaneously ensuring performance. So in a banking world, you are processing millions of transactions every day. It's unlike many other organizations which don't process millions of organizations every day. So we process millions of transactions every day digitally.
I'm sure.
So that needs functionality and speed, or you say performance side by side. So our systems have to be scalable, adaptive, so that whenever we roll out a new functionality, the system has the ability to perform and deliver that service as well. So continue evolution in functionalities. So we have to invest in that. And for that, there are so many things which are now easily available, which is, the programming is now very, very simpler because they are now platforms. So it's a world of platform. Amazon is a platform. AliExpress is a platform. So it's a world of platforms. So you have to roll out something which works like a platform so that people are able to connect into it, and you as a bank are also being connected to all these platforms. Simultaneously, you should have an ability of using machine learning and artificial intelligence for doing some of these things which otherwise would not have been possible. For example, if you have to do BNPL, buy now pay later kind of a Islamic finance transaction. So there are millions of customers who will be using the BNPL service. So it's not humanly possible to do a credit analysis. But now, because of machine learning and artificial intelligence and the computing power, which is now available, the machines are so efficient that now they can explore all those factors which will determine the credit worthiness. So there are so many credit scoring models which has the capability to extract, using the exploratory factor analysis, extract factors and then use those to predict the credit worthiness of a customer even in a country like Pakistan. So I think these are certain things which we are already working on and we are trying to explore while ensuring that we continue to lead in what we are doing.
Fantastic. So you're leveraging the talent, the skills of your leaders, your people, your teams to be future ready. And that's great. Mujhe ye bataye, how do you set yourself apart from your competitors? Aren't they also doing this? How do you set yourself apart?
Good question. In fact, I was just thinking, Amir, jab disruption ki baat kar rahe the, sometimes people feel that when in Meezan is bank ka jo naam bhi hai, it's called Meezan Bank Limited, and the tagline is the premier Islamic bank. So we are one of the bigger or a better or good Islamic bank. So now your disruption is no longer restricted to Islamic banking. Our target is now the entire banking market, entire financial sector. So for example, now we don't measure ourselves with other Islamic banks, we measure ourselves against all the banks.
Okay, great.
Right, so it's not a niche Islamic player. वो एक terminology किसी से मैंने सुना था कि is from good to have to mainstream. So now we're a mainstream bank. We're a bank for everybody.
You're no longer a boutique bank.
No longer
now
a
you
boutique
are
bank.
Full service.
And if
mainstream.
anybody, whether they are driven by faith or not, we want them to be our customers. Because Maybe they would come to us because the branch is next to them, close by to, maybe they like the board of the branch. You know, we have a very different color board, it's purple, so maybe they like purple.
It stands out.
It stands out, yeah. Right. Or maybe they like the branch manager or the staff, but they probably don't know anything about Sharia compliant banking. So they come and do business with us. So almost, I would say that almost every single multinational in Pakistan is banking with us.
Nice.
Now maybe as an institution, I think the concept of faith would probably be missing there. I'm not saying that they will not have that faith, but that will not be a decision making in terms of selecting a bank. So they would select for service, they would select for all these disruptions, you know, our automation, how quickly we can serve them.
The convenience you provide.
Convenience we
because
provide
your
them.
audience is rapidly changing. I mean, look at the new generation coming in. They have different needs.
Absolutely. So through Islamic banking, you know, they get the flavor of what Islamic banking is all about. So to give you an idea, you know, long time ago we introduced laptop financing to students.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And even at that time, Meezan was medium sized, big enough not to really go for that small amount of financing. The reason was only one, was that we should give flavor of Islamic banking to this generation which will be the leaders of tomorrow.
Of course.
So, you know, with opening a bank account, depositing money, you don't get much feel of Islamic banking. But when they're actually borrowing money or getting a financing, they would sign a document
when they compare.
And they would ask, you know, why we doing this? So that will be a lesson to learn Islamic banking automatically, without telling them that, you know, you're here for a lesson. You're actually training them to be Islamic borrowers as well, or Islamic finance taking people. So yet disruption, we can clearly see the disruption. When we started, people were making noise, you know, fun about it, that, you know, ये तो बंद हो जाएगा, कान इधर से उधर पकड़ना, dismissing it,
completely.
Right? Then, mashallah, because Meezan was profitable, and for the last 3-4 years, we've been the most profitable bank in Pakistan.
Yes.
So now, all the conventional banks
now have an Islamic
window.
Yes, they do.
Right. I feel good to think that the only reason they have an Islamic window is because of Meezan Bank.
You've converted them.
We've converted them, right?
If I may use that word.
So we are doing the activity of dawah. This is the preaching. Rather than going to a mosque and saying that, you know, listen to these good things.
And not just preaching through words, which are hollow. You're actually showing it through action. And I think that's the essence of Islam.
So
live
obviously,
it.
The economic side of Islam is in practicing.
Right?
Fantastic. So that is a big achievement Meezan has done, and I think now the whole country going towards a transformation to Islamic, I think we should take at least some little credit for that as well.
Yeah.
That, you know, because of the popularity of Islamic banking amongst customers, the banks were forced to open windows, and the government has started thinking that way as well.
Yes.
So that was a big plus for Meezan.
And when we talk about disruption, we talk about digital, we talk about the future, we cannot not talk about the new generations, the ones that are coming in and the ones who are going to be your customers. And we have to talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, because this is a topic where across the board, globally, everybody is investing in this, because again, these are the principles, these are the ethics when we talk about equality. मुझे ये बताएं आमिर कि आप, you know, the different initiatives that you've taken, the things that you've been very proud of. Tell us a little bit about that journey, and what challenges did you face when it came to creating diversity, equity, and inclusion?
So I think this is a very important term for a country like Pakistan.
Yes.
So sometimes when we talk about diversity and inclusiveness, we only think about two genders, which is definitely very, very important. But for a country like Pakistan, where 241 million people are living, and they are living in an area of over some 7,000 square kilometers, so you have to include all of them. And the issue with a country like Pakistan is that they are roughly 38-39% there is illiteracy. So I think, and if you look at the definition of illiteracy, it does not mean all the people, it means people who are over 15 years of age and they can't read or write. So I think that that's a big challenge, and they are not just illiterate, they are also not trained, so they are unskilled also. So as Meezan Bank, there are certain things which we are doing as a bank. There are certain things we are doing as a corporate citizen. So as a bank, on one side, definitely we are trying to open up branches into areas which are unbanked. Every time we open a branch, we also go into an unbanked or an underbanked area. So that helps to include those people into the overall financial system. So this is one step. Then we just not stop there. We go in and try to include the women population therein also, so that also become part of the mainstream banking in terms of what services they can get. Side by side, there is also a requirement to include the women workforce into our mainstream workforce. So pretty much every single branch in Pakistan, we have at least female representation in our employees in pretty much every single branch, and it is growing. We are focusing on it. We run specialized batches for only hiring the female graduates into the bank. So they are batches which hire both, but they are specialized batches which hire only female graduates into the bank, so that they have better representation because they are already underrepresented in the society. In addition to that, as a corporate citizen, we have also embarked on a journey to impart vocational training to the youth. So people who are marginally literate, who can learn some technical skills either in computer science or in certain other areas. So we have started sponsoring them from the platform of NED University at this point in time, and we want to scale it up so that they acquire those skills, because it's somebody who has probably a middle class or a metric. It's very difficult to take him to a graduation level. It needs 6 years of investment. But to impart a skill, it takes 6 months to 1 year. So he or she can acquire that skill and become a economically contributing member of the society, not just locally but actually internationally, because now we are borderless in terms of technology or digital. So you can work for any country in the world.
All these platforms have merged.
So I think all these
borders.
initiatives, so in terms of a single organization, somebody could say it's a drop in the ocean, but what we believe in Meezan Bank, that every contribution matters. So when we started small, it was also a drop in the ocean. Today we are a wave which is creating ripples in the whole economy, and the whole economy is moving towards the Islamic banking. So in a same manner, I believe now every second organization has started talking again about vocational training. That even the central government is focusing again. In the 60s, we had a whole vocational training paradigm, which is totally, I think, dismantled, wiped out. But these buildings are still there. So we can step forward and start training the youth again. Now this time, we have a much bigger population. In 1971, which is the second biggest even in the history of Pakistan, our population was 68 million on this side of the country. The other side has 75 million. Now only on this piece which is left, we have 241 million people, of which over 65% are under 30 years of age. So this is the right time.
In just what, 50 years?
In 50
that
years.
is overwhelming.
So I think
but
this
whatever,
is the right time to
like you
hit.
said, whatever is in your circle of influence, जितना भी आप उसमें कर सकते हैं, eventually वो circle grow करता है. तो आपने खुद अपने experience से भी देखा है, and the journey that you've had, it's an amazing journey. Ab the legacy. Now that you will be moving on, often great leaders leave a huge gap. But from what I've heard, how you've been honing his skills, how you've been putting him in everything, even if it wasn't in your, your investment banking, but you were, sites, you were acquiring that, you were in construction, and you're being honed. इरफान साहब मुझे ये बताएं कि आपने ये जो सक्सेसेस को कल्टिवेट किया है, इसके बारे में थोड़ा सा बताएं, और मुझे बताएं कि आमिर में क्या आपको क्वालिटीज़ नज़र आई हैं, and why did you choose him to be the carrier of your legacy?
I think this was a very important thing in my mind, not now, for the last many years. And I've been talking to the board कि भाई इसका हमें कुछ करना है, but Generally, alhamdulillah, our board is very supportive. They would say कि भाई आप खुद ही करें जो करना है करें.
किसका करना है? आमिर का कुछ करना है?
नहीं, to find a successor.
Yes.
So we started this process about 3 years ago. And Amir, I think you joined how many months ago now?
Now almost 1 year and 3 months.
3 months. So I think that process started much before Amir joined. I'm not a very high computer person, but I've got an iPad on which I can scribble. So I always say that I've got about 150 pages of my own handwritten notes of what we're looking for, how to go about it. And I was very clear in my mind that it will not be 200 interviews and then saying now what to do, get more confused. So alhamdulillah, we were very organized that way. Along with the board, we agreed that what are we looking for and when are we looking for. So we wanted somebody to come in much before I leave, so there will be a long overlap. And also we decided that what qualities that person should have. I mean, you can't have it all right or all wrong. So number one, that there has to be a passion for Islamic banking. So no matter, so he may be Bill Clinton, who's retired from US, but he may not fit the bill here, right?
अभी तो बाइडन रिटायर हुए.
बाइडन रिटायर हुए, लेकिन वो थोड़ा सा एज
कंपटीशन, एज,
स्टेट बैंक
अच्छा, there is a
barrier is 70.
Oh.
So Mr. Biden would have a problem in convincing Governor State Bank.
Yes.
So number one is that there should be a passion of Islamic banking and obviously experience of Islamic banking, because people would generally say, yeah, if you've done conventional banking, I mean, there are a lot of differences between the two. And those fine differences would actually create what you really want to differentiate and what you can market as well. Then secondly, I was very clear that a person has to be here for long term, inshallah. So, because now there are legal age restrictions. So if you get somebody who's 60, 5 years later, the central bank would say that that's enough. So 65 is the drop dead date now.
Right.
Not for people like me who've been existing CEOs, they've relaxed it to 70. But for new entrants, it's 65.
I see.
So you wanted to, at least I was very clear that it should be at least, because I've been as a CEO now 27 years.
MashaAllah.
And that's why I think something has worked right. So Meezan should have a long range.
Quite a legacy.
Legacy, yeah. So my thinking on age limit was maximum 50. तो उसमें भी बहुत सारे लोग eliminate हो जाते हैं, because I mean good people, but if you are 60 and you are fit for this organization, but how long you'll be able to serve? True. So that was the other thing. The other thing, at least I had in mind, was that person should have worked as a CEO somewhere. Because when you get our second line team, they are very, very senior people in our second line management.
Of course.
And within that, before Amir came, we upgraded 2 people to become effectively the 2 strong number 2s to Amir. Pillars, yeah. So they're there. So above them, when you want to bring somebody, they have to be head and shoulders above them. Otherwise, if you can't learn from them, then very soon they'll get demotivated.
True.
वो कहेंगे हम क्यों नहीं
Inspiring नहीं होगा. That's true.
So I didn't want it to go and to another bank and find that, okay, fine, there's a number 2 person there who's a group head there, to bring him as a CEO, that was out for me. So alhamdulillah, Amir was trained with us, very passionate about Islamic banking. The reason he left Meezan was to take that mission to the next level, to further.
Exposure.
Exposure, yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think in hindsight, I feel that was also, I always believe that God has his own ways of doing it. He was trained in that organization, in a very difficult organization. Meezan mein, the things were taking off, profitability bhi thi, affluency bhi thi. But when you go and really struggle in an organization to bring it out of woods, then you have to put blood and sweat there. तो उसमें training बहुत अच्छी हो जाती है. तो alhamdulillah, on an interview table, सिर्फ आमिर आए थे हमारे. There was nobody interviewed for this job.
No competition. That's fantastic.
No, because we did a desktop review and we looked. I mean, there were many people who are good, many people. किसी में कोई खूबियाँ थी, किसी में कोई खूबियाँ थी.
मगर I think आपकी बहुत इसमें दूर अंदेशी भी थी कि when you set down the criteria. These are absolutely, because having a young CEO like him, you need to cater to the young audience as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
You need to understand their needs. You need to know what they require, and I think that is going to be absolutely great
So Alhamdulillah,
for the average age of a bank.
You take decisions and then you have to rely on God for everything. So mashallah, I think in this 15-month journey, it's going in the right direction. And I think this one more year, co-working with me, inshallah ta'ala,
we'll just sail through,
inshallah ta'ala.
Amir, mujhe ye bataएं, how do you plan to uphold the legacy of Mr. Irfan Siddiqui and take this bank into that innovative direction that you were talking about?
Again, I think it's a very interesting question, but what I can tell you is what I right now have in my mind, and what I believe will help me to achieve it is, number one, the right mindset, because I have been groomed from day one in Meezan Bank or in Islamic banking. Even the reason for moving to another Islamic bank was actually not professional, and it's very hard for others to believe. So I never wanted to leave Meezan Bank even at that point in time, and on their third offer from the board of that other bank, I already declined twice formally to them. And the third time when they asked me, and I remember sitting in the same building in my office, and it came to my mind that if this Islamic bank goes down like other two has already gone down the tube, will I feel good or bad? So I thought I will feel bad. So the reason for telling this is that my mission, my vision, my passion is Islamic banking. So that will, and because our own vision is to establish Islamic banking as the banking of first choice, so my personal mission in life is completely aligned to Meezan Bank's corporate vision. So that will definitely help me to start my day with full zeal and passion every day.
Bring your best self to work every day.
This is, I think, I always believe this is the most important thing. The second most important thing, that I am culturally aligned with Meezan Bank, because I have been part of that culture. I even use the same culture in building another organization. So I am a believer of this culture. So I will be able, inshallah, to preserve, uphold and further evolve this culture. So this is the second most important thing which I believe. First is my personal alignment, second is my alignment with the organizational culture, third comes my professional competencies. That some things which I have learned from Irfan Siddiqui, some things which I have learned from Arif, so that contributes roughly 70-80% of what I am today. The other 20% is my own personal investment in myself by reading, going to business school and universities again and again. So I have formally studied finance, formally studied accounting, degree in law, I have formally studied computer science.
Wow.
I have formally studied marketing. So these are all areas which I have formally studied and acquired qualifications in that.
So good, you're honing yourself. Yes. That's fantastic.
And then trying to use these for the benefit of the organization. So I think that will also help me to uphold the legacy, and not just uphold it, but to actually take the full benefit of it to do new things which are disruptive in digital space, and for which I have also tried to groom myself by formally going to a university to study computer science 4 or 5 years ago. Okay. So I think upholding the legacy and taking it to the next level, you need to do certain things. Firstly, upholding is very important. Sometimes what people try to do, that they feel that change means dismantling the old thing. No. Here I means maintain the old legacy, evolve it and build onto it. Build onto it in all the digital space and cater to the needs of the next generation. One very interesting product which Meezan Bank is going to roll out very soon is a student account and a student card. Right. So which is specifically dedicated to students, so that if they go to even their college canteen, they get discounts on it. So they are hooked to Meezan Bank from day one.
Day one.
And then exploring the white goods and the journal products, because today if somebody has to buy a white good, which may be a refrigerator or a motorcycle, then they go to an informal sector which charge them 2 to 3% interest per month, which in an IRR terms goes as high as 50% even today, or even 60%. So we are offering motorcycle finance at 0% these days, and there are huge pipeline for these cases. So what we are trying to do is continue to grow your retail deposit book, your corporate and commercial asset book, but side by side do SME in an innovative manner, do agri in an innovative manner, do retail and consumer financing in an innovative manner, leveraging technology. So that will help us, because right now we have targeted ourselves as a full scale wholesale retail commercial bank. The only sector which we are not working directly is microfinance, which these banks like EasyPaisa and Jazz Cash are targeting.
Yes.
Because we feel that is not our target segment. So we have also defined our segments we really want to focus on. So we are focusing on that. I think we have a very nice team which has a very rich experience in Islamic banking. They are themselves aligned to it, and whenever we go out and try to hire someone from outside, we first look at our bench strength, which is very, very deep. We try to bring people up from our existing bench strength, but when we hire from outside, we always look for the value based
the alignment of their values with
alignment
the
of value. So it's a value based hiring. So are they aligned to our culture? Are they aligned to our mission? Do they believe in the core values we believe in? And that's how then we look at the professional competence.
Fantastic.
So I think we have a recipe for success already. We only want to add few more ingredients of digital and technology into it, and then accelerate it.
So it's like a diving board. You've been given that board. All you need to do with your values, with your experiences and the skill set that you have evolved over the years, and of course Irfan Saab's guidance. And I think that will not end ever. He'll be there with you, and your own little spices and recipes that you want to put in, so that when you climb that diving board, that platform, you can jump your trajectory. I can already sense that, how you will be taking this up to the, in the future and being future fit. That's fantastic. So Irfan Saab, any message for your team when you're, since you will be stepping into your next chapter of your life, what message would you like to leave for your team?
I think कभी दिमाग में आता है तो I always think that alhamdulillah because of this long association जो message देने हैं वो quite frankly उनके DNA में ingrained हो गए हैं वो.
अच्छा.
Right? So makes my exit easier.
Very easy. Okay.
You think of something and but obviously this practice of 27 years has ingrained in that.
तो ये एक great leader की निशानी होती है कि जब वो ना भी हो तो काम वैसे ही हो रहा हो जैसे आप चाहते हैं.
मेरे जहन में ये आता है कि the organization which you leave has to do better after you leaving. Because they're younger people, they can do more. तो अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह वो चीज़ मुझे पूरी तरह यकीन है. I have full faith in that this organization, unless we do something, majorly wrong, will continue in that direction. तो वो जो quick वाले lessons हैं, I mean, we mentioned किए, we have our core values, like a vision statement and mission statement, we have core values also defined, which is Sharia compliance in what we do and what we do ourselves, what we practice and preach both, integrity, which shouldn't be there because it should be covered by the first, but it says integrity, and service excellence. तो आप अगर service भी दे रहे हैं and the icing on the cake is that it's compliant, then वो बहुत बड़ा question होता है. The customer will say why not? So then Meezan Bank becomes the bank of first choice. Without wanting it to become a banking of first choice, it automatically becomes one. And it's something which although we are never fearful of competition, but it's a very difficult recipe for people to follow because काम करना पड़ता है उसमें बहुत. So that is ingrained in us. modesty is ingrained, humility is ingrained. I think I'm in a meeting with our head of departments and everybody talks about it. When we were revising our car policy to increase it. So वो था कि भाई कौन सी गाड़ियाँ होना चाहिए. तो मैं कहता the day I see 5 Mercedes parked at 5:30 for people to go home with their drivers in white uniforms, I'll be a sad person. That day we'll be going down. तो अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह उसके बाद हमारी कार पॉलिसीज बहुत रिवाइज भी हुई हैं. People could buy Mercedes, but nobody's got one in our organization. So I think it's so what I'm saying is nothing against the German manufacturer Mercedes, is that if it's become a class symbol.
It's that attitude.
It's the attitude.
You're talking about the values.
हाँ, अगर वो class symbol बना के आप उसको ले रहे हैं ना, if you're hungry and you want to go and eat something and you go to a super branded restaurant, fine, you just went there because you wanted food. But if you go there because it's a place to be status symbol, then in my view that becomes wrong. It's not, it's black and white. It's either this way or that way. So legacy के बारे में what I was saying that obviously it is inshallah ingrained, but obviously people join in, some recent hires as well and all that. So Meezan is a very down-to-earth organization. We feel that people should have that humility. और वही चीज़ें जो है फिर आपको strength देती हैं काम करने के लिए भी. As a result, we work harder.
Fantastic.
And that hard work is no substitute. I mean, वो कहते हैं ना work harder, work smarter and not harder. I feel that's wrong. I feel that you have to work smarter and harder.
Yeah.
तो वो दोनों का combination is what makes it
Or when
happen.
you work hard, you then become smart. And
Smart,
then you can
हाँ.
work smarter. Harder is, I think, part and
एक
parcel.
चीज़ जो अभी
Prerequisite.
discussion में नहीं आई थी, I think Meezan has been the fastest growing institution in Pakistan in the banking sector.
Yes.
Right? Like I said, the most profitable as well. So, जो market हमने capture किए हैं, that is all because of this hard work. So, anything you take, benchmarks, lot of time we find number one in them. And in areas where it doesn't require our effort as well. तो इसका एक example मैं देता हूँ कि Government of Pakistan introduced this Russian digital account for overseas Pakistanis.
Right.
Right? And we are one of the 14 banks in Pakistan doing RDA. Right? RDA is basically for expatriate Pakistanis to deposit money in Pakistan, remittances के लिए. So out of the 14 banks, we have 26% market share. We don't have a single branch outside Pakistan. We have no rep offices. We don't go for road shows.
It's a trust.
It's a trust, and I think just people feel that it's a good institution to be with. तो वहाँ पे तो मैं कह रहा हूँ कि आपका marketing effort भी नहीं जाता है ना. I mean, we've got it from over 100 countries. We have never been to those 100 countries, but the money comes in automatically. So we are by far the number one.
So word of mouth does travel.
Word of mouth, right?
Very far.
So it's not just number one, by far the lead in that.
Yes.
Then in Hajj applications for the last 2 or 3 years, we've been number one. Now, if you're applying for Hajj, no Sharia Mufti would tell you that you can't go to a conventional bank and drop your Hajj application. You can go anywhere, right? But why Meezan first? Is that, so people are themselves, the footfall आपको वहाँ आ रहा है वो. तो उसमें भी I think our numbers are like over 20% or something like that. So it's not because of Hajj and Islam. I think it's just that relevance of people going and banking with Meezan. तो बहुत सारी चीज़ों में we number one, and it surprises us as well कि why we number one. We've never strived for that. But the footfall toward Meezan is so high that when I go to our branches, I mean they're all full. You see other branches, they are not as active. So jokingly I tell our people that you must be very inefficient because it's taking customer too much time in your branches. That's why वो जब जमा हो गए हो. बाकी जगह उन्होंने आके काम करके जल्दी चले गए वो. But the fact is that Meezan attracts people. Whatever it is, I think it's act of God which makes it happen.
Yes, yes.
So inshallah, Amir, वही चीज़ें फॉलो करेंगे तो वो चीज़ें और बढ़ेंगी. वो चीज़ें छोड़ेंगे तो वो चीज़ें भी छूट जाएंगी.
हाँ. आपकी बात से मुझे इस पूरी जर्नी में जो नज़र आया वो ये है कि you first initially started with the concept of the Sharia, the Islamic concept, and then when you started living the principles that are taught in Islam, it then just became immersive. As a human being, this is what you need to do. So now people that do come, it's not just because of the Islamic is because you are actually living those principles that are in Islam, and that's fantastic. So what one word or what one sentence would you both say would be the legacy of Meezan? कोई भी अगर एक sentence में अगर हमने इसको डालना हो, what would be the legacy?
I think in short, if you work with the right intentions, niyat, and you work hard, you can't go wrong.
Okay.
Pakistan has got humongous potential.
Yes.
I think that's what I keep telling youngsters, and a lot of young people have come back to Pakistan. My 4 children, they're all in Pakistan. Alhamdulillah, all doing well.
Alhamdulillah.
So you have to work hard, have faith, and do your best. So whether you are in Pakistan or anywhere in the world, you'll do better. So why not in Pakistan rather than outside Pakistan?
Great. And आप दोनों से मैं आखिरी सवाल पूछना चाहूँगी कि for the audience who are going to be watching this, be it leaders of the banking industry, and I think you have spoken for anybody, anywhere, leading anything, right? But primarily for leaders who are looking forward to working in the banking industry, and now being Islamic banking industry and being it so pervasive and it's showing its rewards, what advice would you leave for these aspiring leaders so that they can create meaningful impact at the levels or highest levels that they're going to reach? Irfan साहब पहले मैं आपसे पूछना चाहूँगी, and then Amir, I'll come to you.
उसमें थोड़ा similar होगा मेरा, मतलब you have to have faith in what you're doing. And you have, Amir Nabi bhi कहते हैं, you have to have that liking, wanting to come to work every day to do it. For that you need to be aligned with your vision as well.
Fantastic.
So for banking generally, I would be forced to say that people should look, now Pakistan is migrating towards a full Islamic system, that they should make their careers and choices in Islamic banking. For non-banking, I think they should again align with the vision to do what they feel best, but it should contribute. And I think it should contribute to Pakistan, because unfortunately हमारी पाकिस्तान की bad publicity बहुत ज़्यादा होती है, and who's doing that bad publicity is not our neighbors, is we are doing it ourselves. Every Pakistani who is abroad, because he or she want to justify that why they're living abroad, so it has to start with a negativity, that वहाँ तो ये मसला है, वहाँ ये मसला है. हम कहें तो मुझे मसला नहीं लगता है, लेकिन for people who are living abroad and then saying that पाकिस्तान में ये नहीं होता, ये नहीं होता, ये नहीं होता है, so I feel that we should try to stop that, because our young generation in Pakistan is getting very misled by these kind of things. So I think आपको maybe जहाँ भी मीडिया का involvement है, ये ज़रूर होना चाहिए कि we have to be Pakistan centric and believe in ourselves. जब तक ये वो believe नहीं होगा तो वो institutions नहीं बनेंगे, governments वैसे ऑपरेट नहीं कर पाएंगी. तो I think it's
और यहाँ
important
ज़रूरत
for us
सबसे
to-
ज़्यादा है, और यहाँ आप थोड़ा सा भी काम करेंगे वो बहुत दूर तक और बहुत देर नजर आएगा. And over to you, Amir, आप बताएं कि what message would you like to leave for the young audience who would like to be aspiring leaders of the banking industry of Pakistan, or generally leaders who are watching this?
So my message is what I personally do and believe, which is try to focus on doing what you can do. So instead of looking at others and pointing fingers, what he's not doing, she's not doing, government is not doing, look at your ability and capacity in your circle of influence and try to create an impact. And for that you need to be be positive about Pakistan. So you have to be very, very positive, you have to be committed. And one thing which I have really learned, that all these nations which are categorized as developed nations in the world, there is only one thing which is different. It's people. The people who are leading that country and the organizations in those countries and the institution in those countries. So these people makes an impact. It's not the natural resources, it's not the financial resources, it's the human beings. So you have to be one of that human being who is creating an impact. So you have to be somebody who is needed for the nation, not the needy ones. So I classify people into two, the needed people and the needy people. So try to become a needed person for the nation who is improving the life of everybody living around that particular person, means you. So this is it. I think if you are doing that, passionately, positively, then the entire nation will come up the curve. If you continue looking at what other people are not doing and what other institutions are not doing, then you will not be doing your job also. So let's focus on doing our job with full zeal, with full passion, with full positive outlook. And I'm sure we will turn the fortunes of this country again, because this was a very successful country just maybe 30 years ago. We can turn it again around, and it will be there on the global map again as a successful nation.
So starting with the right intent, and as you mentioned that your circle of influence, even if it's a very small circle, over a period of time, if you focus on it intentionally, it will grow.
Yes.
And अगर आप किसी और को change नहीं कर सकते और दुनिया को नहीं कर सकते, तो at least you can start with yourself. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Irfan Saab and Amir, thank you so much. It's completely my pleasure. And sitting in front of a mentor like him, and I think I've done an interview before as well. I've very much enjoyed it. You don't just talk about the principles. You are a walking, talking, an example, the epitome of a person who leads by those principles, and I think that's fantastic. And Amir, best of luck.
Thank you.
Because you have a tall order and a legacy to uphold, and to take it into the next, era. So best of luck, and thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.